It was funny because that was an unpaid internship, but maybe it's not the most politically correct thing to say, but
Hi everyone, I'm Nisha Goyal and welcome back to the channel. Continuing the series of reaching out for internships and placements, today I have my classmate Ritvik with us here today. Ritvik has converted an amazing internship in Mumbai and he's here to tell us more about that. Would you like to add something to this, Ritvik?
yeah, hi everyone. I'm Ritvik Datta. I'm also pursuing BFI in Shakespeare Political Business Studies. I was fortunate enough to convert a private equity role in one of the leading domestic banks. Think Kotak Securities, think in a industry, think in ICICI, similar lines.
That's great. I feel Ritvik's insights will help all those who are looking to enter investment banking, private equity, and all those fields because these are the fields that generally people are after in their undergrad degrees and are hard to convert. So I feel his insights will be very much helpful for everyone. Yeah. So the first question that is in everybody's minds when they think about starting out uh, to reach out to people is that when is the perfect time to actually start reaching out and how many months does it take usually before you convert an offer?
That's a very important question as well. In my opinion, 3 months onwards is the best time by far because that's the time when you're joining a company. It depends a lot on what vacancies there are or what their flow is going to be like. The company I joined, they also had a deal coming up, which is why they required extra people to
Hmm.
contribute to that, and that is why I was also hired as an intern. I personally started around 5 or 6 months ago, but the traction starts to increase very quickly near the internship period or when it starts. So for me, it was June. I had my first offer by the end of January, around 4 months before the internship season started. So I think I had a relative bit of flexibility. But
Hmm.
I wasn't really satisfied with that personally. So I believe there was a chance of converting maybe an offer which suited me more until I converted my current role, which was around the mid of February. So I was really lucky from that perspective. But I have had seniors who have gotten offers even during the last month, mere weeks before the internship season started. So the most important thing, in my opinion, is to keep being relentless.
Okay. Next question would be how many mails typically should a person send before they should expect a reply? Because I've heard that reply rate and conversion rate is very, very low and it's disheartening at times. So, what are your views on that?
So again, very true. So I hit up approximately 20 different firms and I tried to reach out to 2 or 3 people in each firm and I sent at least each person 3 mails. So that ended
Hmm.
up around being like 150 or so mails that I sent. So in fact, my
Hmm.
reminders app on my phone was filled up with just notifications of reach out to XYZ person. You have a call with ABC person now. So you have to definitely just have a long variety or a large variety of firms which you want to reach out to. And if people only reach out to Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, or JP Morgan, or an MBB set for people interested in consulting, then your conversion chances are definitely going to be low. But when
Hmm.
you have a set list of firms that you're interested in joining and you reach out to a lot of people on different levels across that firm, then chances become relatively higher.
Mhm. Who should you typically reach out to in a firm? Because HR's talent acquisitions don't really reply.
Always anyone who's a vice president or above in the investment banking division. So I did reach out to people in the equity research division, and they were like, this isn't really our department. So even if you're a good candidate, we don't really have that sort of leeway. So focus on the
Hmm.
department because especially in investment banks, there's a lot of vice presidents across a lot of divisions, across a lot of branches. So you have to
Hmm.
look at the LinkedIn profile, look at the journey they've pursued, and then reach out to them. But VP, directors, and MD, that's the target audience that we have to now focus on.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Also, you mentioned you had sort of set reminders on your phone. How important is following up when actually reaching out to people, and how many times should you follow up? At what intervals should you follow up?
So I follow a simple structure, which was not really something that I was given. A shout out Pulkit Cycle, one of my seniors. So once you
Okay.
send the initial mail, follow up 3 days later, and then follow up again 10 days later. That's the bare minimum that you have to do. So
Hmm.
one, then 3 days later, and then 10 days later, because that keeps reminding people that even if they've seen the mail once, they know that you're persistent, that you're
Hmm.
gonna keep reaching out, and that you are someone who's dedicated. but rejections always are a very big part of reaching out as well.
Right, right, right. And also, while sending the message across, we have sort of three different categories, that is the subject, the cover letter or the body of the mail, as well as the attachments that you include, which basically includes your CV or any other portfolio that you might want to attach. So, if I were to allocate percentages of importance given to all three of them, how much should I allocate to each one of them, and how much space should each of them take?
Personally, I haven't really wrote a single cover letter, so I would say around maybe 15 to 20%, simply because if you do choose to write one, that's just going over and above what's
Mhm.
the bare minimum. So that's always a good thing. But they're not always going to be the most relevant because you don't have a set role you're applying to. You're reaching out for a role, so they might decide on what they want to give to you and what type of role that you will eventually get. And that's why a cover letter might not be the thing that's the most important, because you're sending an email already containing details about your
Mhm.
profile, which acts as a proxy for a cover letter.
Mhm.
Subjects are crucial. So this is something that I realized after I started working, is that most people working in the industry, like initial time when they get to the office and they start their laptop, वो सिर्फ mail पढ़ते हैं. So when
Mhm.
it's important to send a mail which people can see around the 9 to 9:30 time frame, because they're much more likely to be seen. And the subject should be extremely catchy as well. So I would say 40% importance should be given to subjects because they're extremely crucial. But
Mhm.
a subject is your first impression. A subject only gets you to the tables, so to say. But CVs, I cannot overemphasize how important CVs are, because they're the make and break. They're your last impression, and that decides whether you'll be given a call versus your mail will be simply ignored. So they're the biggest avenues to impress people, and I don't know, 40% baki jitna bhi tha percentage, I would give that to CVs. CVs and subjects are equally important, because you might
Mhm.
have a fantastic CV, but unless you get people to open your mail, it doesn't matter. But even if you have the most compelling mail written, if you don't have good accomplishments or good accolades, then that's, and more than having things to write on your CV, how you write your CV and how you present it. Because especially bankers, they look at details, they look at small mistakes. So that's very, very important. So you have to have an eye for detail.
Got it, got it. Makes sense. Also, we've talked about mails, but how would you decide between which medium to choose? People choose LinkedIn for reaching out, people choose mails for reaching out. Which one is the more effective medium? And should we allocate equal importance to both of them, or should we prefer one over the other?
I would say mails all the way,
Hmm.
because the amount of information that you have to now convey to a person cannot be conveyed through a LinkedIn text message. Also, LinkedIn for these people, I was talking to my boss in my current role as well. LinkedIn gets annoying to look at beyond the point, because they have tons of people reaching out to them all the time. Plus, you can't, again, you can't convey by a simple follow request or a connection request. You can't really talk a lot about what you have done or your CV as well, unless you have premium, which is maybe a good avenue. But unless you can talk to someone on call through LinkedIn and then talk about converting a potential internship offer, I would personally recommend mails. But both avenues are good if you know how to essentially sway people to look at your profile.
Got it, got it. Absolutely. Right. So, coming on to a very important question that many people have in mind is the pay that is associated with it. So, should the pay be a major factor while you are looking out for internships?
In my personal and humble opinion, not really.
Hmm.
I've been fortunate enough that I haven't had any complaints with my current compensation structure, but I would have interned in the same exact role that I have right now without getting any stipend as well, because of the amount of exposure that I've gotten, because of the amount of
Yes.
calls to direct, like, management of companies that we're trying to acquire. And it's also, an internship is also 2 months. Everyone will survive no matter what the stipend that they
Hmm.
have. I mean, especially, I mean, for you as well, Nishtha, you're also, even you're getting an amazing stipend, but you're also getting the brand name of the issue and the learning that you get on the internship. And a stipend should not be your primary consideration, because maybe that makes more sense in looking for placements. But
Hmm.
uh, something my boss said at a previous internship is you get paid in learning as well as money. So you have to see what you
Yes.
value more at this particular
Hmm.
moment. That was
Hmm.
funny because that was an unpaid internship. But if
Okay.
you're in your if
Yeah.
you're in your penultimate year of undergrad, I would personally recommend that don't look at money as a qualifier for any internship.
Mhm. Mhm. Made sense for him to say that, but actually, a great advice to follow beyond that internship as well. Right, right. I feel we've covered a lot of topics related to reaching out and all. Now let us come to the experience that you've had at your internship right now.
So my experience of moving to a different city has been work because hours at a private equity or an investment bank are horrible. Even right now, after this video, I'll take a break for a couple of hours and then I'll get back to work. So uh, it's been relentless. It's been very fun as well because it's quite fascinating to just look at a transaction, look at an acquisition of a company, and then know that your decisions can affect that. And working in an 11-figure deal approximately is also very fascinating for me. And it's just a good experience that I don't think I would have managed to get anywhere else. And living at another city, I mean, it's Bombay. There's the traffic, there's the heat,
Hmm.
all of it's there.
Mhm.
But the most important criteria, of course, is what the work is like. And for me personally, it's been very, very
Mhm.
enlightening.
Yeah. How similar is it to what we hear happens at a private equity firm?
Uh, Pretty similar. I think
Hmm.
a private equity firm is focusing on buying companies, waiting for them to get better or for them to generate cash flows and then sell them off or just to retain the asset. So it's very similar to the sell side that you might see at an investment bank when they're facilitating a transaction. But in this case, you're in the driver's seat. So instead of just seeing कि इन दोनों companies को मैं ये merge कैसे करेंगे या ये acquire कैसे होगी, you have to see if this is a good company to acquire as well. So even in the deal that I'm currently doing right now, there's been a lot of roadblocks. There's been a lot of things to do, CEO pitches, talking about the basic product that they make. So you get down to the details very, very much. So it's, I mean, I would say pretty close.
Great, great. That's absolutely amazing to hear. Getting involved in such big transactions and creating an impact at that level is usually not something that everyone would imagine doing in their undergrad. And so kudos to you for that.
The mail I used included a 5 point pitch about my profile and the major accolades that I managed to get in my college life. So you have to include things which do seem important. You have to include details about the bank or the private equity firm or whatever VC firm that you're trying to get an internship at, and you have to mention something which does get their attention. So I would say body is also very, very crucial. So you can't really slack off at any point in this process because you're trying. So you're trying to get an internship or you're trying to convert a rule which doesn't exist. So you have to just be on all cylinders.
Got it, got it. I feel we've covered pretty much everything. I hope these insights were of help to you and maybe help you in converting that role that you've always wanted to. And I think you would be thanking Ritvik when you convert an offer whenever you do. So, yeah, thank you so much, Ritvik, for sparing your time. This was a really fruitful conversation and gave a very deep insight into how you went about getting your internship. And thank you so much for being on the meet.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a fun conversation as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.
I can hear the demons call when they